Hello again, everyone. My name's Larry Snow, owner and president of SJC Web Design, and I'm here with part 2, making the web work for your business. And for this one, we're going to be talking about website statistics and search engine optimization. So let's start with web stats. Why do we need web stats? Well, web stats are measurable data, and we need measurable data to see how successful we are. So you've spent $5,000 on a professionally designed website, and you need to know if your website is successful. And the best way to do that is with web stats. It shows you your return on investment. It will show you how many people are coming to your website and how many people are buying things through your website. So web stats are very important. If you don't know if you have web stats, check with your hosting provider and see if they actually have the web stats available to you, and it should be for free. If not, then I highly recommend Google Analytics. If you don't have Google Analytics, then all you need to do is create a Google account, and that's for free, and you will have Google Analytics at your disposal for free. And you will also have a couple of other tools that will be very useful for your business online. So I'm just going to go over a few of these web stats that are recorded through Google Analytics. But like I said, I highly suggest you get Google Analytics and go through these and understand them all. But let's start with visitors. Visitors are actually the engine that keeps your website going. If it wasn't for visitors, your website would not be very successful. So when you look at the visitor web stat, what you're going to look for is two visitor types, unique and repeat. Unique is anybody new who's coming to your website, and repeat are the same visitors coming back over and over again. So those are very key. Search engine keywords, they're the keywords that people have put into search engines, and in the results page, your website was listed. They click the link to your website, and it's measured in the web stat. And how is this useful? Well, let's say you have a website that's related to executive protection services, and people are finding your website, and you're getting keywords from search engines that are related to security guard patrols. But you want to have this niche of executive protection services. Well, what you need to do there is go into your web pages, into your entire site, and figure out how people are getting security guard patrols mixed up with executive protection services. So you want to define your website with those keywords, and we'll talk about keywords in a minute when we get to search engine optimization. The search engine keywords should match what your niche is. Traffic sources are just that, how people are getting to your website. There are 3 here I'm talking about. There may be a couple more in Google Analytics. First one is referrals. Basically that's a link to your website from another website. Then there's direct, which is anyone who has a bookmark of your website or anyone who types in your web address into the address bar. And then there's the search engines themselves. It actually gives you a total of how many times people have used Google to find your website, or Yahoo, or whatever search engine it is. Countries and cities, pretty self-explanatory in my eyes. Ancillary, but still useful. It actually goes right into the countries, what percentage of visitors are coming from what countries, and then it goes into actually down to what cities they're coming from. And as a useful example, let's say you're trying to get into the international market and you've noticed that a lot of people are coming from Spanish-speaking countries. What you could do to your website is actually add a tab or a button that will translate the page into Spanish. So that's one useful thing you could do with your website from this particular stat. The visitor internet service providers, ISPs, as you might know, are people like Comcast, Time Warner, Fios. But when it comes to particular businesses, and in this case military and government, I mean there's a whole bunch of businesses out there that actually maintain their own internet service providers so that they can control what comes in and what comes out, and rightly so. But those show up in your web stats. And how are they useful? Well, in this particular instance, let's say we got repeat visitors from Fort Bragg, and you know people at Fort Bragg, and you can pick up the phone and say, hey, you know, I see that you're visiting my website. Is there anything that we can do for you? And they say, oh yeah, well, we were looking at your website and we're interested in maybe some training. So that dialogue happens, a relationship starts, and the next thing you know, you're doing business together. I know that might be pie in the sky to some people, but that actually happened. And then in the same case of the Department of Justice, it'll actually show up in your website as Department of Justice. And it's nothing came of that, but it's good to be aware of what businesses are looking at your website. Be prepared for that opportunity that might happen. And the next that I'm just going to talk about real briefly is mobile devices. Not a lot is offered through the website. It's basically just what carrier is looking at your website. Now, from a design standpoint, you should have your website be mobile ready, and I'm sure that there are several YouTube videos on how to make your website mobile ready. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about search engine optimization. It's such the buzzword out there that I wanted to include a slide on it. So basically, what is search engine optimization? Well, it's tools that people use to improve your website rank and hopefully attract more visitors, and from there buy or sell or whatever your strategy is for your website. So how do you get higher rank in search engines? Well, there are a lot of ways, and I'm only going to touch on a few here. One of the big ones is keywords. Search engine bots will come out periodically to visit websites, and they'll pick up on these keywords, align them with your website. And when a person types in the keyword in the search engine for, let's say, executive protection, and your website's about executive protection, you want your website to come out in the top 10, the first page. Now, there are two ways to put keywords in. Keywords you can put in your content. In the business, they actually call it sprinkling. Around 3 to 5% of keywords you can put in to your content. The keywords you should also put in a meta tag. And a meta tag is a code that's actually in the HTML of your web page that you can put in these same keywords that you want these Google bots to come out and pick up for your website. And also in the meta tag there is a description where you can actually describe what the content is on your page. And don't forget the title, the blue bar at the very top of the page, top left. Your title should also contain keywords. Backlinks, we already talked about them. They're actually called referrals. And that again is your website linked on someone else's website. And we've already talked about the networking opportunities that might be coming of that. Search engine submissions. Some people are saying that this is going away. I still do it for my client, and my reasoning is if there's an opportunity for your website to get submitted to any type of search engine and it's free, I say why not? And there are over 200, at least 200 search engine out there and submission opportunities for you. And the last piece, and I'm only going to touch on this briefly because this is actually going to be one of the parts in this series of making the web work for your business. And I've already touched upon it in a couple of other videos, but briefly, marketing through article marketing, video marketing, email marketing. You can market through forums, but you have to mind your P's and Q's. You can market through blogs. I mean, there are a whole type of ways to market your website. And all of that does is get those backlinks going. And we'll talk more about that in another part of this series. So that's it. Thanks for watching. For more information, visit our website, sjcwebdesign.com. And the next part, part 3 in our Making the Web Work for Your Business, we will be talking about social media. Thanks.